Hi, this is David Stearman, and you're listening to my Up podcast. And today I want to talk about 4 things Christmas tells me. And by the way, if you like our podcast, please hit the subscribe button so we can encourage you on a regular basis. Because that's what this podcast is all about. Encouragement. Now here are the 4 things Christmas tells me. The voices of angels called out over the hills of Bethlehem that night, but few heard them. Really just a small group of shepherds who weren't too busy to receive the most important announcement the world had ever heard. We picture the scene as something spectacular, but knowing the way the Holy Spirit works, I think it was probably more of a quiet, subtle thing. Nevertheless, Christmas speaks loudly to me of 4 principal revelations, and the angel's first soft message sweetly whispers the first. Do you ever feel like God's mad at you? He's not. Peace on earth and goodwill toward men, they said. God has a heart full of only peace and goodwill toward you, and you can take that straight from the messengers of heaven. In fact, later Paul goes on to write in Romans 5:8, God demonstrated his love toward us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. In other words, while we were still awful and at our worst, Jesus came. And if that's the way it was then, that's the way it still is now. Jesus died for you so you could always stand in the Father's favor. A wonderful minister named Malcolm Smith explained it this way. He's a Scottish man and was helping farmer friends during the lambing time in Scotland. When this happens, it's late winter, and the weather's really cold. What happened was that one of the ewe sheep died giving birth to a lamb that somehow survived. They took the newborn to another nursing sheep, but she rejected it because it didn't smell like her own baby. But about this time, another sheep on another hill gave birth to a dead lamb. And that's when the farmer got an idea. He took the little dead lamb away, removed its pelt, and wrapped the living baby in it, securing it really well. Then he took this little lamb back to the bereaved mother, and she nursed and adopted it since now it smelled like it was her very own. And that's exactly what God did in sending his own son to die for us on the cross. He wrapped us in Jesus' own robe of righteousness so we would never smell like sinners again. Really, when God sees us, he sees us as being as pure as his own son. And that, my friends, is what Christmas is really all about. God sending Jesus to earth to save us from ourselves. And did he do that because he was mad at us? No way. And if he wasn't angry with us then, he's not angry with us now. No, God is not mad at you. As far as he's concerned, it's all peace and goodwill toward you. The second thing Christmas tells me is that I'm valuable. You may think you're nothing and nobody, but you're not. You see, value is measured by price. A diamond is just a clear, hard rock. But people pay a lot for them, so they're considered, and indeed are, precious. By the way, I know a story that illustrates this one too. A couple centuries ago, an Australian cowboy found some strange round stones on his land. So he tucked some of them in his pocket and took them home, curious as to what they might be all about. Well, he cracked one open, and inside it was all pure opal, but not the soft pink opal that we usually see. No, these were sometimes black or bright blue, with beautiful vibrant flashes of green or red or yellow within. They were spectacular and gorgeous, not at all what you'd expect from an opal, and turned out to be so valuable that they set off something like the California gold rush we had here in the U.S. Today, they are still some of the most precious stones on earth. And that's like you. You may not feel like you or your life looks like much on the outside, but in God's eyes, you are worth the price of his own son. And that's why Jesus came to earth on that first Christmas. You are the pearl of great price that Jesus gave it all to buy. You are valuable. The third thing that Christmas tells me is that I'm loved. John 3:16 is a Christmas verse. Jesus quoted it to Nicodemus long before his crucifixion. God so loved the world that he gave his only Son that we would not perish but have everlasting life. He never wanted to lose us. He never wants to lose me or you. He loves us so much that he wants to be with us forever and ever. So never ever feel that you are unloved. And this part is especially important. God not only loves the world, as in all of us, he also loves each of us. Remember the parable of the lost sheep? In Matthew 18, Jesus says that if a shepherd lost only one out of 100 sheep, he would leave all of the other 99 behind just to search high and low for that lost one. So the Son of Man, he said, came to seek and to save the lost. In other words, if you'd been the only sinner on earth, Jesus would still have come and done all he did just to save you. And the fourth thing Christmas tells me is that God would do anything for me. Seriously, literally. Paul says in Romans 8:32 that he who did not spare his own Son, but freely delivered him up for us, how shall he not with him freely give us all things or anything? And Jesus himself says in John 14:14, if you ask anything in my name, I will do it. Can you believe that? Can you believe that God is that generous and loves you that much? Well, you kind of can when you realize what he has already given and done for you. And that, for me, is the crux of the Christmas message. That God's not mad at me, that I'm valuable, that I'm loved, and that he'd literally do anything for me. Yeah, God values you and loves you so much that he would do anything. The angels announced it on that silent, holy night so long ago. And then Jesus came to earth and lived it all out, just for me and for you. Merry Christmas to you, friends, and may you have a happy, happy New Year.
David Stearman Ministries is a missionary ministry. We work to take the good news of Jesus wherever we can, from the jungles of South America to Mexico to the Philippines, over the European continent, and places beyond. And we'd love it if you partner with us in this task. Offerings can be made online at davidstearmanministries.org. Thanks so much. I hope you have the best day ever and up day all the way.